Good morning. It's Thursday, May the 6th, 2021. I'm Pearson Bowen with the CBC Morning Report. There is a need for additional occupational therapists in Barbados, especially in our schools. Sonjine Taylor, an occupational therapist at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, says not only are there only 19 of her colleagues in service on the island, but there are also many areas that need their help.
We need occupational therapists in schools, for example. Occupational therapists can function especially in primary schools, to help identify children who may have developmental issues, who are, as they would say, hard ears, may have behavioral issues, and there's no one there to identify that from in the early stage. So you have children passing out secondary school unable to read and write because of the behavioral issues, and we just point it down to being hard ears, can't learn. But there's the reasoning behind that. Most schools in America and in England where I studied have occupational therapists in the school, so they can pinpoint difficulties that the children may be having from early. They can do assessments, but here there's none. We need them in the schools. We need them in geriatric hospital. There's none at geriatric hospital to plan activities for the elderly who are just sitting every day doing nothing. There's a need, but posts to be created are like few.
Well, another concern is the number of strokes occurring in Barbados daily. Ms. Taylor, an occupational therapist for 13 years, says Barbadians suffering from strokes is becoming way too prevalent.
We are getting, they say that we have at least 10 a day, 5 to 10 patient strokes a day. Some may not be as dense as others, but we have a lot increase in stroke patients, I would say, in the last, I would say 3 years. I know with COVID on and people are anxiety and stressed, and you're seeing a lot more stroke patients than you would usually see. Stroke is caused by either a bleed in the brain, or ischemic attack, which means that part of the brain cells die. And high blood pressure usually causes it, caused by stress, not eating properly, having a good healthy diet. But I think it's becoming too prevalent.
The occupational therapist and you. It's the latest in a series of webinars organized by Cecilia Neblett-Brathwaite of the UE Alumni Association Barbados chapter in its collaboration with the Office of Alumni Relations, Students Enrollment and Retention Unit. The start time is 8 o'clock. If you need more information, you can email alumnioffice@cavehill.uwi.edu. We'll take a break right here. We'll take a break right here. When we come back, our COVID-19 updates. Thirty-one new cases of COVID-19 were identified out of 650 tests conducted by the Best dos Santos Public Health Lab on May the 4th. 24 of those new cases are male clients of the same ward at the psychiatric hospital. These cases resulted from retesting of staff and clients of the ward who were placed in quarantine after a male outpatient of the ward tested positive on the 28th of April. The quarantined staff have all tested negative and have been cleared to resume their work. Testing on the wider staff and client population continues at the psychiatric hospital. Of the 7 additional positive cases detected on the 4th of May, 1 individual exhibited respiratory symptoms and presented to the Wilde Gymnasium for testing. 3 were discovered following community contact tracing, and the other 3 cases were visitors to our island. The visitors, having arrived at the Grantley Adams International Airport with negative PCR tests, later tested positive for COVID-19 at the airport. All positive cases have been placed in isolation. Barbados is one of several countries included in a Caribbean travel bubble, which the St. Lucia government says will exempt from 14 days quarantine under particular circumstances. The update from Prime Minister Alan Shasney in a post to his Facebook page. The other countries in the bubble are Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, British Virgin Islands, the Cayman Islands, Dominica, Grenada, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and the Turks and Caicos Islands. Travelers from those countries will not have to quarantine if they present with a negative COVID-19 PCR test 5 days prior to travel. In addition, all passengers from within the bubble must have traveled directly, defined as being in transit for less than 24 hours from a country within the bubble. Guyanese are being told by their Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, they need not worry as the country has enough COVID vaccines to successfully inoculate the adult population with first and second doses.
As of Monday, May 3, over 145,000 persons, representing 29.9% of the adult population, have received the first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. In addition, 5,309 persons are now fully immunized, having received the second dose. During his daily COVID-19 update today, Minister Anthony also sought to address fears of a shortage of COVID vaccines in Guyana.
So there should be no worry pertaining to where you're getting your second dose from. We already have it here. We have it in storage at the bond, the vaccine bond. And so at the appropriate time, we'll roll that out and make sure that everybody can get their second dose, those persons who've already taken their first dose.
Dr. Anthony says Guyana has enough vaccines to inoculate the country's adult population. He explained that in addition to the 265,000 doses already in storage, Guyana is expecting more through the COVAX facility, in addition to those purchased.
In addition to what we're getting from COVAX, the government of Guyana has purchased vaccines, and we have purchased Sputnik V, and those vaccines we have adequate amounts so as to be able to immunize our population. So I don't think there's a challenge with getting vaccine. What we need to do is to make sure that we get vaccines in people's arms. That's where the challenge is.
The ministry continues to encourage religious and other non-governmental organizations to get on board and support the vaccination efforts. These organizations are urged to contact the health ministry if they are interested in vaccinating their members.
Canada has offered parents anxious about their unvaccinated children some fresh hope yesterday by clearing the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine for use in people as young as 12 years old.
The pharmaceutical giant says that its trials on 12 to 15-year-olds show that the jab is 100% effective against COVID-19. Canada has seen a surge in cases in recent weeks, and its infection rate has surpassed the US for the first time since the pandemic began. The US is also considering approving the vaccine for teenagers. Our White House correspondent Kimberly Halkett reports from Washington.
The Pierce Health Canada is placing a high priority on getting the broad population vaccinated versus making sure that adults have both of their doses. In fact, the data shows that when it comes to Canada and its adult population being vaccinated, just 34% of Canadian adults have one dose. So there's still a long way to go in getting that higher risk group vaccinated. But the decision by the public health officials in Canada is that they want to see children being vaccinated as well, even though the study has just a very small sample and we really don't know the long-term impacts. The feeling is that because children don't get too sick, but that they can pass it on to these higher risk groups in order to try and contain what is Canada's third wave. It's been crushing for the country. They want to get as many people vaccinated as possible, and that's why they're pushing ahead of the European Union and the United States in authorizing the age group between 12 and 15 years of age for getting the Pfizer vaccine.
A second wave of the COVID pandemic is continuing to have a devastating effect on India, which has seen oxygen supplies run perilously low and crematoriums operating non-stop. India's government is facing growing pressure to impose a nationwide lockdown to stem the devastating coronavirus surge.
When Rohan Agarwal decided to be a doctor, he didn't expect to have to choose who lives and who dies a year before completing his medical training. At the age of 26, he's in charge of an emergency room in a New Delhi hospital on the night shifts. With a shortage of beds, oxygen and ventilators, he has to make heartbreaking decisions.
What job we are assigned is what is to be decided by God. Yeah. Whom to be saved, whom not to be saved, and we are not made for that. We are just humans. Yeah. And at this point of time, we are being told to do this.
Patients are continuing to die in India because of a lack of critical care facilities. 5 died in the state of Uttarakhand when their oxygen supply ran out on Wednesday. India's Air Force and Navy are now transporting oxygen and other aid, while the Army has joined the efforts to create more facilities.
This is one of India's biggest public hospitals where the Army is setting up an oxygen plant based on technology developed for its fighter jets. It says it will set up 500 similar plants all over the country within 3 months.
The plant can generate 1,000 litres of oxygen every minute.
This will operate continuously. So wherever such plants will be installed, those hospitals will not have to depend on suppliers anymore. These plants are capable of transferring oxygen to patients directly.
But health experts say there's also a shortage of medical workers with the expertise to administer the aid.
These are unprecedented times. We have never seen a pandemic of this size and scale, and definitely a pandemic that stresses the infrastructure, not only in terms of beds, etc., but in terms of manpower.
Rohan Agarwal takes a brief break to have his lunch, but says the intensive care unit or ICU is never far from his mind.
That beep sound is continuously in our head, even while we are sleeping. That beep, 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 that casualty noise, the ICU noise, that continuously goes in our head, in our ears, every time, every day.
With hospitals and their workers at breaking point, India's main opposition party, the Congress, is the latest to urge the government to impose a nationwide lockdown.
Coming up soon on Morning Barbados here on TV8, we will share with you on a Thursday morning more of our exceptional young people. We'll meet some very enterprising sports people. One who's just about 8 years old, who is a triathlete. She'll tell her story. And then some swimmers who are very focused on becoming a part of the contingent to represent this island and the Caribbean at the upcoming Olympic Games. We'll meet them too. And there's a young lady who has engaged herself in mortuary services. Why? Isn't it scary? We'll talk to her about her forward planning. And then we'll also be telling you about that interesting Pan-African love story of Mignon and Arnold Ford. You'll hear from the author of that great story. All that and a whole lot more when you join me on Morning Barbados in about 15 minutes. We'll take a break right here on the Morning Report, and we're back after this. Some relief is coming for the dozens of displaced Barbadian LIAT workers. Prime Minister Mia Amor Motley says each will receive a one-off gift of $2,000 by early next week at the latest. This following an hour-and-a-half-long Zoom meeting between Ms. Motley and the displaced workers. In a statement from the Prime Minister's office, it was noted that the gift, which will be provided by central government, will give authorities time to put other measures in place to offer further relief over a much longer period. The former LIAT workers will also benefit from expedited hearings by the NIS Tribunal. Arrangements are also being put in place for the Antigua-based Barbadian workers to receive an advance of $2,000 a month from the government of Barbados to be paid back from any eventual severance settlement. The former LIAT workers will meet again with the Prime Minister after 100 days, and she has promised to reach out to banks and other creditors on their behalf to solicit payment ease. The National Union of Public Workers has thanked the Prime Minister for her support being offered to the workers by the government of Barbados. School children across the island will get the opportunity to learn coding and robotics. This as the Ministry of Education intends to introduce its coding program from this coming September. Riaz Phillips tells us more.
This is what the new robots look like. These two types, an autonomous and teleoperated robot, will be used by children when the coding program is rolled out in schools in a few months.
I am pleased this morning to announce the receipt of the first batch of 1,128 robotics kits, or what is described as 94 classroom bundles, which have been procured by the Ministry of Education as one of the major pillars of government's education reform program. These kits were initially part of a pilot project which was led by the Ministry of Education in conjunction with the Urdistan Teachers Training College, which would have resulted in over 140 teachers being trained and 2,602 students at across 50 schools at the nursery, primary and secondary level participating in a robotics program at their respective schools.
Moving from that pilot stage, officials are hoping to reach 16,508 students initially.
The total investment on this project to date is about $2.7 million Barbados, and government remains committed, funds permitting, to the full expansion of the program to all schools over the course of the next few months.
The Education Minister also revealed a draft curriculum is being prepared.
We are in the final stages at this point in time, thanks to this team, of developing a draft curriculum for students aged 7 to 14 years. And I say draft because we're receiving the different inputs from the various stakeholders or experts or teachers, students, and of course parents, so that their ideas can also be incorporated into the curriculum. We're also aligning the upper secondary curriculum with the national objectives, and discussions are presently ongoing with CXC and TVET relative to determining the actions that are necessary for facilitating the alignment.
This multi-million-dollar initiative is part of ongoing educational reform efforts in the country. Students are expected to reap benefits as they will be encouraged to become developers. The program will complement existing STEM subjects, and it will make learning fun. Riaz Phillips, CBC News.
Thank you, Riaz. Classes at the Blackman and Gollop Primary School will restart this morning. In a news release from the Acting Chief Education Officer, Joy Adamson, parents and guardians of students have been informed that work has been completed at the school for classes. The Barbados Defence Force, a private contractor, teachers and parents worked together yesterday to ensure that classes were set up and equipment cleaned and replaced in the respective classrooms. Face-to-face instruction will therefore commence for Class 3 and 4 from today. Teachers will specifically contact Class 3 students for further direction. Classes at Blackman and Gollop were put on pause after some teachers complained of respiratory issues stemming from the presence of ash on the school's compound. The Barbados Fire Service is reporting a 35% decrease in fires for 2021 when compared with the same period last year. That's according to Chief Fire Officer Errol Maynard. He says more than half of the structural fires attended to this year were in the parish of St. Michael, and the frequency of them in urban areas is of great concern.
In 2019, up to this point, we would have had 30 calls for residential fires. Then we had 25 in 2020, and that's for this year we had 24, as I said before, and out of those 24, 13 were in St. Michael's. And we attribute that to the fact that the homes is more populated one, and then the houses are much closer.
And with people spending more time at home, the fire chief is urging Barbadians to unplug electronic devices when not in use.
The fact that more persons are at home and they're using a lot more electrical devices and they're calling for much more energy from their system, that can also cause a fire. And what we need to do is, if you're not using the device, plug it out. If it needs servicing, get it done by a qualified technician, as opposed to the handyman who said that he wanted $1. His dollar might cost you thousands of dollars. So get it serviced by a certified technician, and try not to use defective equipment.
A semi-independent review board has upheld former United States President Donald Trump's suspension from Facebook for inciting violence in the wake of the 2020 election, while also criticizing the social media giant's handling of the situation.
Facebook banned the former US president 4 months ago after he was accused of inciting supporters to march on the Capitol building in January. Some praised the company's decision, while others accused it of censorship and of applying double standards to world leaders. Let's get more from Al Jazeera's Patty Culhane.
Well, let's look back to January 6th. As rioters were actually attacking the Capitol and fighting with the police officers there in what turned out to be a fatal encounter, Donald Trump went to Facebook and posted a video, and he repeated the lie that the election was stolen. He did urge supporters to go home, but he called them that they were special people and that they love them. Well, Facebook at the time said that there was a real risk that he was going to incite even further violence, so they suspended his account, what they said, indefinitely. Then they had created this board before this. It's about 20 experts in the field of free speech. They've been looking at whether or not that was the right decision. So the board has come back and said, yes, that was the right decision. But at the same time, they said you can't just all of a sudden say somebody's immediately or permanently banned, because that wasn't a term that you used before then. So they said, go back, look at the case, see if the punishment fits what the violation of the rules was, and then let us know within 6 months. So Donald Trump not happy about it, calling it an embarrassment, saying that there will be political fallout. But for now, he's off Facebook and Instagram and doesn't have access to his tens of millions of followers there.
All right, so this is a board that's an advisory board that is actually paid for by Facebook. It said that it did the right thing, but it's also slapped the company on the wrist. Mm-hmm.
It did. It said that they need to have better policies, especially when it comes to world leaders. What they're recommending, and you said it is a board that is paid for by an endowment that Facebook funded. But what they're saying is when it comes to world leaders all across the globe, that they need to have specialists that are able to monitor that content and to really rapidly respond and know what the context is of that particular person from that particular country. And then they should have the authority to act quickly to remove content on that. So it is a bit of a slap at Facebook, but at the same time, right now you're seeing there's a lot of criticism of this decision. It's criticism of the board, not necessarily criticism of Facebook. Now, this will have real-world implications in one sense, in that Donald Trump still wants to be the voice of the Republican Party. That is much easier for him to do in the upcoming elections if he can continue to put out messages of the candidates that he supports. That's a much easier way for him to get to his followers. He's also still banned on Twitter, so he hasn't been able to do that. What he did is launch just yesterday a website that's more like a blog that people can see his posts there, and then they can tweet them out and put them on Facebook. So he still is trying to find a way around it, at the same time promising he's going to come up with his own kind of platform in the future.
In sports, former West Indies skipper Jason Holder is the only player who has been offered a contract by Cricket West Indies in both red and white ball formats. CWI has confirmed the international retainer contracts for the West Indies men's team for the 2021-22 season. A total of 18 players have been offered contracts for the upcoming season, which runs from July the 1st this year to June the 30th next year. That's 4 fewer players than last year. Holder is the only one to retain his all-format contract owing to his strong Test and T20 international performances during the evaluation period. For the first time, Nkrumah Bonner, Joshua De Silva, Akil Hossain and Kyle Mears have been awarded international retainer contracts, while newly appointed Test captain Craig Brathwaite and Darren Bravo receive international contracts for red and white ball cricket respectively. The notable players who have not received contracts include Roston Chase, Shamar Brooks and Shimron Hetmeyer. Vice President of Cricket West Indies Dr. Kishore Shallow says there is no surprise element in awarding retainer contracts in West Indies cricket. Players are well aware of the metrics used to select who will be awarded contracts. Speaking to CBC Sports from St. Vincent, Dr. Shallow says performances on the field over a selected period of time will determine the level of the retainer.
Obviously, there are going to be a few disappointing players, and what we have seen with the new players coming in, the persons who have grabbed opportunity. 2 glaring examples, Bonner and Mears, who came in with and ended the period with an average of 66 and a little higher. So that says a lot. Other players who missed out would realize to get back in, they're going to have to perform, and so it's good for West Indies cricket to have those sort of competition. But I mean, what is important too is that even those players who are not given retainers by the West Indies men's team, that they still end up with an A-grade contract at the regional level. So they're still paid as professional cricketers, and we expect that they will keep, that cricket is their trade. So we expect them to continue and, work hard to either get back into the international setup in terms of retainers or push to get one in the future if they missed out totally for the last couple of years. So, but it all says well for West Indies cricket in terms of the competition and people fighting for places, not only in contracts, but in the team as well.
Well, back to some local news now. 2 people were injured in a police-involved shooting last night. This incident occurred between Chapman Lane and Spencer's Gap, St. Michael, around 8:45. Police Public Relations Officer Inspector Rodney Innes says the police patrol had a confrontation with a man who was armed with a gun, which resulted in 2 people being shot. The injured were taken to hospital by separate ambulances, and their injuries are reported to be not life-threatening. Investigations continue, and you do recall that 10 people were injured, including 6 visitors, in 8 separate incidents, all of which occurred consecutively on Wednesday. The man has since been taken into police custody. According to the police, that man, who was acting strangely, had assaulted an individual while at a business located at Worthing, Christchurch. They responded, and while doing so, received several other reports of individuals being assaulted by a man of similar description, all within the Worthing St. Lawrence area. 6 people were treated at the respective scenes by paramedics, were later discharged. 4 were taken to hospital. Their injuries have been described by medical personnel as non-life-threatening. Let's take a look now at some forecast conditions here in Barbados. I sat here and I could hear the rain coming on. That's why I look at our outside cam. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I think it is. I think the rain is just so critical at this time. And so that's what it looks like over us here at the Pine. Something tells me that's the basic look across most of the island. So let's look at our general forecast conditions coming from the Met Office. At the moment, we are under mostly cloudy conditions, 23 degrees Celsius it is, and the winds are coming from the east at 24 kilometers an hour. What a beautiful day. So we have a low tide coming around at 11 after 6, and a high tide at 12:30 this afternoon. Seas today are predicted to be calm to moderate in open water, swells up to 2 meters, but increasing. So the forecast for Barbados today, look at this, a mix of sunshine and cloud with the occasional brief scattered light showers. That's for today, and tonight partly cloudy with a few brief scattered light showers. For the Lesser Antilles, today and tonight, fair to partly cloudy with a few brief isolated showers. Now look at some international forecast conditions. And that's it for today's edition of the Morning Report. I'm Pearson Bowen.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day it is indeed today, Thursday, the 6th of May, 2021. Good morning. I'm Pearson Bowen. Welcome to Morning Barbados. It's beautiful because it's raining at the moment. And if it's raining in your neck of the woods, there is something to rejoice about. But it's also beautiful because today is Thursday. It's the day on which we celebrate our exceptional young people, and there are quite a few we'd like to introduce you to today. There's a footballer who left on a football scholarship who is doing tremendous things across the globe. We'll get to meet him via the Barbados Soccer Academy. We'll also get to meet that young lady who has chosen the field of mortuary services. She's trained in it, and now she is here and she's in her apprenticeship. We'll talk to her about that decision as well. An alumna of the Coleridge and Parry School. I smile at that, and do you know why? But also today we'll get to hear that beautiful Pan-African love story of Arnold and Mignon Ford. It's more than just history. We put the story, put the flesh to that story as well. So you'll get to hear about that coming up in the pages of the book. It is definitely one that you will find yourself reading and turning as you go. But let's start this morning with a very young one of our exceptional young people. Her name is Leila Mcintyre. Leila, good morning to you.
Morning.
You good. I love the way there's such music to the way you just said that. Morning. It is so beautiful. Leila, how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. And how are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. Now, you are one of our exceptional young people today because you are not just a track artist. You're not just somebody who is into theater. You're also a triathlete. Where do you find the time to do all of this?
Well, we have to do most of our trainings in the morning and the evening. And since it's school, it's a little hard, but I still do it.
And you do it so very well. Now, tell me a little bit about some of your sporting endeavors. What areas are you competing in?
Triathlon, and it has swimming, riding, and running.
Mm-hmm. But there's also another one that you compete in, isn't there? I guess not. All right, so you're doing the triathlon. How long have you been engaged in being a triathlete now?
About 2 years.
Really? So how old are you now?
Yes. I'm 9.
So at 7 years old, you decided you're going to try your hand at these 3 disciplines: swimming, cycling, and running. How hard is that?
It's really hard because it's like 3 things at once.
Mm-hmm. Is it tiring?
Yes, it's very tiring.
So who is it that inspired you to take up those 3 disciplines to do all at once?
My brother and my dad, because my brother started doing triathlon before me, so that kind of inspired me to do it too.
Mm-hmm. And there you are with your brother, right?
Yes.
So do you compete with him from time to time?
Well, not really, because he's in a different age category than me, so we don't normally compete at the same time.
All right. So what do you see as your goal, Leila, as you begin to look at your future down the road? What do you see to be your goal?
I want to become a professional triathlete.
Why so?
Just because I enjoy doing it, and I feel like that would be what I want to do when I grow up.
Have you looked at the possibility of it being able to support you financially? Have you looked at that?
Well, no, but I also want to be an architect on top of that.
Okay, so there's something else that you'd have to do as well, you want to do as well. I'm also told that you represent, and you're hoping to represent your school as well in the upcoming Carifta Games and also at Knapsack. Let's talk a little bit about that, all of these other things that you do.
So in Knapsack, we do like primary school running, so I'd probably compete in that. And then Carifta is a Caribbean triathlon, and I would compete in the age of 11 to 12.
All right. So on the track, what events are you good at running?
I don't run on the track a lot, but I would probably be more of a sprinter on the track.
You're fast. You're one of those fast.
Yes.
You don't want to run too long, but you're very, very quick on your feet. You're also someone who's very comfortable on stage. I'm told that you were part of the events at your school. So tell me a little bit about your acting ability.
Well, yes, my favorite subject in school is probably drama, so that's really fun.
So here you are. What is this production here?
That was a school play, I think, and I was a grasshopper.
And as the grasshopper, what were you expected to do?
Just kind of run around.
Be a typical grasshopper, right?
Yes.
But you were also part of your school's Christmas pageant, you know, in the Pinocchio. You played a particular character. What character was that?
I really can't remember. That was quite some time
Weren't you
ago.
it wasn't really at 9 years old, and it was so long ago. Weren't you Jiminy Cricket?
Yes, Jiminy
All
Cricket.
right. Who is Jiminy Cricket?
I think he was just this little cricket that stayed around Pinocchio.
And then you had the amazing opportunity to work with the production team from Netflix, who were on the island filming for Outer Banks. How did that come about?
That was fun because my friends got the opportunity and I kind of felt a little left out. But then my mother told me that I was doing it too, so I was very happy.
What did you have to do in that production?
Well, in the show, basically, I had to be a homeless child. So they put like fake dirt on me and I had to wear old clothes.
And so you felt good having to play that part, right?
Yes.
And so you're looking forward, no doubt, to see whether or not your shot will come up in the final production. So apart from being a triathlete, official and professional triathlete, you said you also want to be an architect. Why architecture?
Because I like to design houses, because I play this video game called Minecraft and you can design a lot of things inside the houses, so that makes it easier for me to understand, and I just find it kind of fun.
What do your friends think about your engagement in triathlons? What do they say about you, Leila?
Well, normally the friends that I have triathlon friends, so they do the triathlons with me, and normally they support me and I support them too.
Okay, so you are quite comfortable with everything that you're doing. What times are you making now as you prepare yourself for Carifta?
So, well, I can't remember my exact times, but training in the morning is hard.
Why is it so hard?
Because my friends that I do my training with, their school starts at 8 and my school starts at 8:30, so can't just accommodate to me, we have to accommodate to them too. So we have to go earlier.
And earlier means going at what time to train?
So the training is supposed to start around 5:30 and we're supposed to be finished around like 6:30, 6:45. And then I go to my dad's office to get ready for school.
So pretty much you're busy right now. You have to get ready for school. Right, Leila?
Yes.
All right. And you're at St. Gabriel's School. I wish you well in your future endeavors. You have your eyes set on becoming a professional triathlete or an architect and an architect as well. And so I want to commend you as one of our exceptional young people today, Leila Mcintyre. We wish you well, and with your acting career as well. Something tells me that's not the end of it for you. You are, for us, an exceptional young person. Thank you, Leila, for joining.
You're welcome.
You too. You're welcome. All right. 20 minutes now to go to the hour. We're back after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So I picked up the book, The Pan-African Love Story of Arnold and Mignon Ford. I picked it up a couple days ago. I haven't yet put it down because it is so good to read, and I really want to commend this book to you. We're happy to be joined this morning by the author of this book, the man who tells their story in this way, David Commichon. Good morning to you, David.
Good morning, Pearson. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm serious. This is such a good book. And you know, oftentimes we read books and we think they're history, and the history can get very technical. This, you've added the flesh and bones. You've made these two people come alive. And these are not just two ordinary people. These are Barbadians.
Yes, yes. But that's why I wrote this book. From the time I heard the stories of the lives of these two extraordinary Barbadians, way back in probably the early 1980s, I knew that someday I had to write this story for the Barbadian people. And fortunately for me, I came to know one of the sons of Arnold and Mignon Ford quite well, Professor Abbey Ford, who, born in Ethiopia, went on to become a professor at Howard University. And as chairman of the Pan-African Commission, I had the privilege of hosting him here in Barbados. So I'd always promised him that I was going to write the story of his parents' lives for the Barbadian people. Unfortunately, I did it just about a little over a year after he passed. But I was able to do it when we had the lockdown last year. That's how I spent my time. Spent my time during lockdown writing this book. And it's a story that Barbadians really need to read. It is written for our people. It is designed really to tell them, that Barbadians have been right there as an integral part of some of the most important and amazing developments in the history of the Black people of the world. And they need to know this because it will help to root them in a positive sense of identity, a positive sense of Barbadian achievement.
I love the way the book began. When I read the first set of words, I thought, oh boy, I got to keep reading. Our story, it reads, begins with a scene in a room in a small house in Addis Ababa, the capital city of the African Kingdom of Ethiopia. It is September 1935, and lying on his deathbed in a room is a 58-year-old black Barbadian man by the name of Arnold Josiah Ford. And in that room is Arnold's much younger Barbadian wife, Mignon Ignis Ford, and their two newly born Ethiopian children, Yusuf and Abiy. Now, that alone told me I needed to read and learn more about these two people. So tell me about Arnold and Mignon. Seems as if, we're going to have to shake the internet just a little bit to see if we can get David sorted out and get back to us in just a little while. But it is a beautiful book, and we encourage you to find it. It goes on to say that Arnold Josiah Ford is the most important leader of the West Indian and African American community in Ethiopia. And the story goes on. This book really shares in one part his story, and then it shares the story of Mignon and her contribution to the development of the black culture, the development of Ethiopia, opening up a school. And we know how for us in Barbados, education is such an empowering tool. And so she took that into Ethiopia to empower those who are there. But it also ends with the son Abiy coming to Barbados to be a part of a big celebration here. So you're back now, David. Good morning again to you.
I don't know what happened there.
That's all right, but the story must be told, and the story will be told. So let's talk a little bit about Arnold and Mignon.
Well, okay, so Arnold Ford is born in 1877 in Barbados, just 1 year after the Confederation riots. And the amazing thing is, back then, when there was so much discrimination against Black Barbadians, his parents were able to have him tutored in playing the violin, the bass, the acoustic bass. This is a picture of him here with the acoustic bass.
Yes.
And the harp. So he has a special gift for music. He becomes a master musician. In 1899, he goes into the British Royal Navy as a master musician. He spends about 10 years in the British Navy, and then he goes to Harlem in 1910, at the beginning of the so-called Harlem Renaissance. And he becomes a very important figure, very important musician in the early development of the classical music of Black America, the spirituals, and the early development of jazz. He becomes the musical director of the New Amsterdam Musical Association, a very important institution in Black music. He performs at Carnegie Hall in historic concerts. He is part of some of the early phonograph recordings. He is also a Black Jewish rabbi. And in 1917, he joins the Marcus Garvey movement at its very beginnings. He goes on to become the main composer of music for the Marcus Garvey movement and one of the main theologians within the Marcus Garvey movement. It is he who composes the Universal Ethiopian Anthem, which was declared to be the anthem of the entire Black world back in 1921. And so he is second only to Marcus Garvey as the face of the Universal Negro Improvement Association. So here we have a Barbadian who is integral to the development of Black music, who is integral to the development of the Marcus Garvey movement, who is integral, he's a pioneer in the Black Jewish movement. Mignon is born in 1905, so she is considerably younger than him. She migrates to the USA as a 16-year-old in the 1920s, the early 1920s. They both end up migrating to Ethiopia. Arnold goes first. Arnold is leading a mission to establish an agricultural settlement of Black Jews in Ethiopia. But he goes to Ethiopia at the time of the coronation of Emperor Haile Selassie. So the book, it is telling the story of the lives of these two Barbadians.
Yes.
But as it tells that story, it is also telling you the story of the development of Black music, of Marcus Garvey, the Marcus Garvey movement, the Black Jewish movement, the coronation of Emperor Selassie. You get to hear how that sacred ceremony took place, that back to Africa repatriation, and then that dramatic moment when the fascist Italian dictator Mussolini is about to invade Ethiopia. And all of the African American and the West Indian migrants in Ethiopia are fleeing. They're afraid. Everybody is running from Ethiopia. Arnold by then is sick. He's dying. He's on his deathbed. And he has this young wife, Barbadian wife, and they've just had 2 children, 2 infants. And the last thing he does before he dies is to extract from his wife a solemn pledge that come what may, even if Ethiopia is invaded, come what may, she will not abandon Ethiopia. And she gives him that pledge. He dies. And true to her word, she remains in Ethiopia. We hear the story of the Italian invasion. We hear the story of the occupation of Ethiopia, the oppression, the racial segregation, the terrorism that is inflicted on the Black Ethiopians. And we hear her story, how she becomes a freedom fighter. You know, her house becomes a refuge to the young Ethiopian resistors. And she herself is beaten, she is in prison, but somehow she and her children managed to survive the horror of the Italian occupation. Then we hear the story of how Haile Selassie with the British Army, they're able to take back control of Ethiopia from the Italians. And then Selassie sends out a call. We have to rebuild this country. It has been badly destroyed by the Italian occupation. And she steps forward. And she now makes her signal contribution to Ethiopia in the field of education. She establishes a tremendous school. She introduces the modern curriculum to Ethiopia. She establishes the first co-educational institution in Ethiopia. And the school is so impressive that Emperor Selassie, he notices it. And his daughter, his favorite daughter, Princess Zenebi Walk, has just died. And he asks Mignon Ford to do him the great honor of naming the school after his daughter. So the school becomes Princess Zenebi Walk School. And the school becomes a legend in Ethiopia. It brings up, it helps with gender equality. It lifts up Ethiopian women, many of their graduates go on to top positions in the country and abroad. And then disaster strikes for a second time in the early 1970s when Emperor Selassie is deposed in a military coup. And it tells the story of the coup. It tells what happened to the school after the coup, because she now becomes a target, and her school becomes a target of the dictator, the military dictator. And it tells about those difficult periods. It tells about Mignon finally being able to come home to Barbados in 1988. It tells about Selassie's visit to Barbados in 1966 and the engagement between Selassie and Prime Minister Barrow. That's why Prime Minister Barrow is on the cover. And Mignon comes home in 1988. It tells about the rest, the dictatorship is brought down in Ethiopia. She's able to go home to Ethiopia, and she dies in Ethiopia in 1995 at the age of 89. Those two Barbadian boys born in Ethiopia, her two sons, Joseph and Arnold, Abi and Joseph, they go on, both of them, to become professors at Howard University. Abi finds his way back to Barbados, and so it's just this story is really a tribute to Barbadians. I just give you one quote. This is the famous UNIA convention, International Conventions of the Negroes of the World, in 1920 at Madison Square Garden. And the Brooklyn branch of the UNIA, which is almost all Barbadian, they have made a presentation to Marcus Garvey of a special chair. And this is what Marcus Garvey says at that famous convention, quote, "I shall continue to do for this association my very best. And as Barbados has shown so splendidly in the getting together of the various groups, I believe they are at the head of the list financially. It seems to me that Barbados has great inspiration behind it as a country, and that inspiration follows the citizens of that country wherever they go. And if, in sitting in that chair, I get some of the inspiration of Barbados, I shall be satisfied."
Wow.
Beautiful tribute to Barbados.
Indeed. It's a powerful book, and as I've said from the beginning, we could very well document history. Easy to do, I suppose, in some way. But you've taken their lives and you've brought it to life yet again. So we can see their hard work, their effort, their every minute as they achieved and strived to achieve, And I think this is what makes it such a very easy book to read and a very easy book to understand the history as well. And so I really want to commend you and commend it.
It's full of photographs.
Yes, I know, which is good. So appeals to all of our senses, So how can people get a copy of this book, this Pan-African love story?
Yeah, well, it's in most of the bookshops in Barbados, Cloister, Days Books, the Museum Bookstore, the University Bookshop, Chapel House. I think probably the only major one it's not in is Pages Books. I don't know why, but anyhow, so any of the major bookshops.
Yes.
go and get it. We Barbadians, we need to know the great things that our people have accomplished, and this is a story that Barbadians really need to get to know.
I can endorse that completely. As I told you, I've just been turning and turning. You're just caught up in the story, and you'll love it. You will love it, I'm telling you. And I'm not here to sell it, but I'm telling you, you will love it when you read it indeed. David Covershall, thank you for documenting the story, that Pan-African love affair of Arnold and Mignon Ford, and thank you for joining us right here on Morning Barbados to share that story as well.
My pleasure, Pierce. Thank you.
You're very welcome. We'll continue. Actually, let's take a look at our good decision of the day. That good decision is, yes, to buy the book, but the good decision brought to you now by Glucerna, with nutrients to support your immune system. Create a constructive environment for your decision. Can you give your decision the attention it needs? Spend some time preparing yourself before diving into the facts and figures. Remember that most decisions will affect other people too. So it helps to create a constructive environment in which to explore the situation together and gain support. That's it. Create a constructive environment for your decisions. That's our good decision of the day, brought to you by Glucerna, with nutrients to support your immune system. A break, and then the news.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
7 o'clock it is in Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean. Time to update you in news. 2 people were injured in a police-involved shooting last night. That incident occurred between Chapman Lane and Spencer's Gap, St. Michael, around 9:15. Police Public Relations Officer, Acting Inspector Rodney Innes, says the police patrols had a confrontation with a man who was armed with a gun, which resulted in 2 people being shot. The injured were taken to the hospital by separate ambulances, and their injuries are reported to be not life-threatening. Investigations are ongoing. And 10 people were injured, including 6 visitors, in 8 separate incidents, all of which occurred consecutively Wednesday. A man has since been taken into police custody. According to the police, that man, who was acting strangely, had assaulted an individual while at a business located at Worthing, Christchurch. They responded, and while doing so, received several other reports of individuals being assaulted by a man of similar description, all within the Worthing and St. Lawrence Gap area. 6 people were treated at their respective scenes by paramedics and discharged. 4 were taken to hospital. Their injuries have also been listed as non-life-threatening. The police is appealing to anyone who might have been injured or who has witnessed anything to contact them at the Worthing Police Station or by calling 430-7614 or 430-7615. Some relief is coming for dozens of displaced Barbadian Liat workers. Prime Minister Mia Amor Motley said each person will receive a one-off gift of $2,000 by early next week at the latest. This follows an hour-and-a-half-long Zoom meeting between Ms. Motley and the displaced workers. In a statement from the Prime Minister's office, it was noted that the gift, which will be provided by central government, will give authorities time to put other measures in place to offer further relief over a much longer period. The former Liat workers will also benefit from expedited hearings by the NIS Tribunal. Arrangements are also being put in place for the Antigua-based Barbadian workers to receive an advance of $2,000 a month from the government of Barbados to be paid back from any eventual severance settlement. The former LIAT workers will meet again with the Prime Minister in about 100 days, and she's promised to reach out to other banks and other creditors on their behalf to solicit payment ease. The NUPW is thanking the Prime Minister for the support being offered to workers by the government of Barbados. There is a need for additional occupational therapists in Barbados, especially in our schools. Sonjine Taylor, an occupational therapist at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, says not only are there only 19 of her colleagues in service on the island, but there are also many areas that need their help.
We need occupational therapists in schools, for example. Occupational therapists can function especially in primary schools, to help identify children who may have developmental issues, who are, as they would say, hard ears, may have behavioral issues, and there's no one there to identify that from the early stage. So you have children passing out secondary school unable to read and write because of the behavioral issues, and we just point it down to being hard ears, can't learn. But there's the reasoning behind that. Most schools in America and in England have occupational therapists in the school, so they can pinpoint difficulties that the children may be having from early. They can do assessments, but here there's none. We need them in the schools. We need them in geriatric hospital. There's none at geriatric hospital to plan activities for the elderly who are just sitting every day doing nothing. There's a need, but posts to be created are like few.
31 new cases of COVID-19 were identified out of 650 tests conducted by the Best of Santos lab on May the 4th. 24 of those cases are male clients of the same ward at the psychiatric hospital. Those cases resulted from retesting of staff and clients. Male outpatient of the ward tested positive on the 28th of April. The quarantine staff have all tested negative and have been cleared to resume work. Testing on the wider staff and client population continues there. Of the 7 additional positive cases identified on the 4th of May, 1 individual exhibited respiratory symptoms and was presented to the Wilde Gymnasium for testing. 3 were discovered through community contact tracing. The other 3 were visitors to our island. The visitors, having arrived at the Grantley Adams International Airport with negative PCR tests, later tested positive for COVID-19 at the airport. All positive cases have been placed in isolation. And that's our news until now. We'll have more news coming up at 12 noon in the CBC Newsday. We'll take a break right here. When we come back, Crumb's question of the day.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
All right, 6.5 minutes after 7 o'clock, time to make a winner out of you. Your chance now to answer correctly today's Crumbs question of the day. Should you answer correctly, you become a winner. Now, here's today's Crumbs question of the day. How many sides does crispy fried chicken sell and I'd like you to name them. So there are two things you need to do for us today. Tell me, how many sides does Crispy's Fried Chicken sell? And also name them all. How many sides? What are the names of those sides? Get cracking. 228-5562 or 228-5563. Get it right. And you are the winner of today's Crumbs question of the day. So how many sides does Crispy's Fried Chicken sell? And name them. I dare you. Take my dear. All right. Let's move on today as we continue to celebrate our exceptional young people today. One young man whose name you have heard for so long, and today you get to meet him. He's one of our stars in the pool. We're talking about Nkosi Dunwoody. What a name. Nkosi, good morning to you.
Good morning.
You know, we've heard your name so long, I thought you were a lot older, for real. Honestly,
Really?
yeah, for real. You're still at secondary school.
Yes, sir.
At the St. Michael's School, as a matter of fact, and I know my sister Joy, who is a past student of that school, will feel very proud to know that you represent her as well. You're in sixth form at the moment. What are you doing there? What are you studying at the moment?
I'm studying physical education and sport, entrepreneurship, management of business, and then a general subject like Caribbean studies and communication studies.
That's a lot. Then, of course, that's a lot to be studying. But you're doing very well, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
So tell me a little bit about you, because as I said, one of yours is one of those names we've heard in sport and in swimming for so long that we know so much about you, but there must be something about you that we don't quite know. So let's start at the beginning. When did you dive into the pool, you think, for the very first time and fell in love with the water?
Probably when I was 4 years old, in the Alpha Shark Swim Club Learn to Swim program. My godfather just wanted me to learn how to swim as a basic life skill.
Mm-hmm.
But my coaches saw potential in me, and it just went from there.
And it just went from there?
Yeah,
in other words,
and they promoted.
Because you
Sorry?
didn't drown, you decided, all right, you know what, I can do this.
No, they saw potential in my strokes and stuff, so I'm assuming. So they promoted me to the higher groups, and then I just started like training every day from there up till now.
You know, you could have done this recreationally, but you chose it to be more than just recreation. So there must have been something about it that that turned you on to wanting to do it, really. What is it about swimming that really grabs your attention?
Probably the atmosphere within the Alpha Shark Swim Club and the amount of like relationships and friendships I've like discovered throughout the sport, and traveling to many other countries, meeting new people, learning more about the sport on a whole, and geography of the Caribbean. There's a lot of stuff that I've learned through swimming, but it's mainly the atmosphere and the professional coaching that Alpha Shark Swim Club has.
So what do you see to be the thing that you can make out of life from swimming?
I would say that it has just knowing how much like I put into it and how much other people put into it. It shows me that I'm very resistant to anything. So it gives me confidence to pursue anything that I think I'd like to. So it shows me that once I want it and I put my mind to it, I can get it. So I mean, I really want to be an entrepreneur, and I also want to help out my swim club as well with coaching. So that's what I'm studying now.
When you say you want to be an entrepreneur, help me understand, because for me that's a very broad term. You know, so
Yeah.
what specifically in entrepreneurship do you think that you want to get into?
Probably the tourism industry and real estate management.
Sounds interesting. I mean, your whole scope is so broad. So take me into some of these championships that you've engaged in, you know, those competitions when you really dominated. Let's talk a little bit about where you've been and competed.
I've competed. My first Caribbean Games was in Aruba. I was 11 years old and I won a bronze medal. I was out-touched for the bronze medal. And then from there, it was just everyone working hard as a club and as a Barbados team. So that drove me to, I can't really remember offhand how many gold medals, but at my second Griffith Games, and it also helped me get a record in the 400 IM, the Griffith record. I forgot the question, sorry.
That's all right. Where have you been and what competitions
All right.
have you engaged?
So I've been to, 6 Griffith Games. Yeah, 6 Griffith Games. Because the last one has been cancelled due to COVID. I have competed in Aruba, Jamaica, obviously Barbados,
Yes.
St. Lucia, Martinique, China, Colombia. That's all I can remember off the top of my head.
So you've really traveled. You've done very well, and of course you've done Woody. Tell us first of all about that last name, because it's a very unusual last name. Where is it from?
From America. My dad is from Florida, so I just took it from him.
Okay, so that's where. Now, a lot of people don't know that at some point you played cricket, and that at some point you were in shot put. That's shocking for a lot of people.
I would say that I wasn't as heavily devoted to it as I was to swimming, but it was more of a for fun thing, I guess. And I guess I had potential to represent my school, so I took every opportunity I had.
And so you've done well. Now help us understand the value of sport and education, because there's some who are still in our society who believe that sport is a plaything. It is not something that one could chart one's future in. So what would you say to that kind of thinking?
I do not agree. There are people who are meant to be in school. I mean, I believe that everyone should go to school, but there are people who are meant to be studious and go into university and stuff. But then there are other people who have potential to do well in the sport on a world-class level and attain sponsorships and brand deals and stuff. But I feel sometimes that, this is my personal opinion, but I feel sometimes that those opportunities are lost because of the cycle of always just going to school until you go to university and get a degree, and not really being able to put your full focus into your sport. I believe that all two are very good opportunities, both school and sport, but I think you should just choose what's right for you.
Amen on that one. Now, you have decided to choose what's right for you by way of your university. You received several offers from a number of universities, but you stumbled upon one decision. Which university are you heading off to now?
The University of Indianapolis.
So you had offers from Nottingham, Plymouth, and Stirling, and you chosen Minneapolis. So help me understand why that particular university is the one that you've chosen.
Particularly because there are a couple of people that I already know there, and there are other Griffith record holders and gold medalists that go to school there as well. So we've been growing up with each other from the time we were 8 years old. So it's more of family that's already there, and also the program is a very what's the word I'm looking for? It's a very high quality program in terms of swimming, and the learning is very hands on. From what I've not experienced, from what I've researched, it's more of internship or hands-on learning rather than theory and textbook and just reading or regurgitating. So that's what I also look forward to.
That's your choice. All right, so you've done well. And when do you hope to leave to head to university in Minneapolis?
It's Indianapolis.
Indianapolis, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. And probably middle of August, to be honest.
Oh, very soon. Very soon. As a matter, before you know it, it's time to fly out. And I'm sure your mommy Adwa is going to miss you greatly. Everybody here is going to miss you as well. But we'll be keeping an eye on you because I know you are laser focused on possibly competing in the upcoming Olympics. So how are you readying yourself for that stage?
I wouldn't say the upcoming Olympics, but I'd probably say 2024. But I'm training with Louis Sebastian, who's focusing on the upcoming Olympics. So, I mean, if it happens, it happens, but that's not my main focus now. My main focus is to actually get to compete because all the competitions here have been cancelled due to COVID. And so I'm just trying to better myself and compete and represent Barbados well and my swim club.
I'm sure you will. And Nkosi Dunwoody, thank you so much for joining us today. You know, for us, you are one of Barbados's exceptional young people, and we want to commend you on achieving in the way that you've been achieving thus far and being so laser focused on being that entrepreneur and making a big difference to everyone, everywhere. So all success with all of your future plans, Nkosi. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. And Nkosi Dunwoody, you've heard the name, now you've seen the face up close and you've heard his life. You're a very passionate, very focused young man. All right, as we head for break soon, let's see if we have a winner of today's Crumbs question of the day. I know it was hard. We have a winner, would you believe it? Here's today's question once again in case you may have forgotten. How many sides does crispy fried chicken sell? Name them. Somebody was actually able to tell us today, if we get the answer, that there are 5 sides, which are French fries, sweet potato fries, garlic bread, small calypso rice, and small macaroni pie. Somebody got it right. Who is this person? Andrea King, it's you. Andrea, well done. Which ones did you try, Andrea? I hope you got each of them from different times. The French fries, the sweet potato fries, the garlic bread, the small calypso rice, or the small macaroni pie. Andrea, well done. Congratulations. Someone from Crumbs Bakery will be contacting you to get your prize delivered as well. So well done, Andrea King. That is it for today's Crumbs question of the day. Another one, God Spare Life, tomorrow. We'll take a break right here. When we come back, more on Morning Barbados.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Honestly, for real. Time for us now to really celebrate Child Month 2021 with the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Barbados Childhood Obesity Prevention Program. It's an opportunity now to bring greater awareness of good health and nutrition for our children by our quiz. Are you ready for this? Here is today's quiz question from the Heart and Stroke Foundation Childhood Obesity Prevention Program. Your question today is, what is the general recommended number of cups of water one should drink daily? What is the general recommended number of cups of water that one should drink daily? I think it's easy, weasy, Japanesey. Call 228-5562. Call 228-5563. Those are only two numbers. Let's get cracking on this. And forgive me if I'm going to tease you, okay? I promise you up front I'm going to tease you early. Morning, hello. Good morning.
Good morning. Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. What about you?
I'm very well, thanks. What's your first name?
Alicia.
Alicia. Alicia, where in the island are you? What parish?
Michael.
Oh, you just... Alicia, you're too far. Alicia, do you drink water?
Of course, I love it.
You do?
Yes.
Is there any particular type of water you like to drink?
No, I like all natural water.
You like water coming from the pipe?
Yes.
You know, just say so. The water coming from the pipe. All right. So what's your answer for me today?
8 cups.
I beg your pardon?
8.
Who drinks 8 cups of water a day?
Yeah, I
Answer
do.
me honestly.
I do.
Alicia, you don't drink 8 cups of water a day. You do not
Maybe
drink 8
more.
cups. Maybe more.
Yes.
So do you think you're right or do you think you're wrong?
Yes. I'm
What makes
correct.
what makes you so certain, Alicia?
I always come along hearing that, and know for a fact it's true.
You know, we've come around hearing a lot of things over the years and not some of them are true, like Santa
I know
Claus.
that. I know that for sure. It's true though. 8 cups of water a day.
Ah. So if I told you you're wrong, you think I'm wrong, all right?
No, you're wrong. I'm right.
You think I'm wrong? I'm the one who's asking the questions, Alicia. But you know what, Alicia, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely... Listen, don't get powerful. You're absolutely right for real, though. So, Alicia, well done. Congratulations. I hope you encourage others in your house as well. Do you have children with you?
They do. They do. They do.
The children?
Yes.
Children?
Yes.
And I say like that because oftentimes children think water, they want something a little sweeter. But your children are drinking their water. That is great.
Even my grand, she loves it.
That is. I hope you don't put a little something in there to sweeten it, you know.
No.
Very good,
She
Alicia.
likes the water for the fridge. She likes cold water.
Cold water. She's a Pearson Boyd. Cold, I don't know. It's sometimes a little difficult to just drink it straight from the tap at normal room temperature for me. Just chill it just a little bit and I'm good to go. But like you, I'm also drinking a lot of water as well, you know. It helps to flush the system. Helps to flush the system. And because what percentage of your body is water?
Pardon?
I asked a question earlier this week. What percentage of your body is made up of water?
56.
You're making me shame, Alicia. You're right. All right, Alicia, you stay on the line. Don't put down. Do not put down. We'll be talking to you to make arrangements with you. We want to take some of the information from you. But Alicia's right. We should drink 8 cups of water every day. I know 8 sounds like a big number. What if we said it was 10? It's even bigger, right? So 8 is not that big by comparison. So try it. 8 cups of water a day, and it will do your body good. This is all thanks to the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Barbados in our childhood obesity prevention this month. Get the children drinking water today. So thanks to the Barbados Heart and Stroke Foundation. Back after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
7 minutes after 7 o'clock now, as this Thursday morning we continue to celebrate our exceptional young people. We're joined now by another big swimmer, Alex Sobers, who made the news recently as a winner. Good morning to you, Alex.
Hi, good morning. Nice to be here.
You know, when my producer shared with me that you're going to be on the show today, I kept saying, I know that name, I know that name, I know that name. And then I remember the story. You beat Ryan Lochte.
Yes, so you did.
Yeah, man. So how is it like in the pool racing against a man who also competed at the Olympics and is an American champion? What was that like?
I mean, from a young age, I always idolized Ryan Lochte. Like, I always go on YouTube and watch how he used to swim, and it was just a very inspirational part of my current swimming career. So it was definitely very exciting to be next to him in the pool and beat him. On top of that, it was very exciting.
And like a true Barbados, you said "tet da," right? You know, that's how we do it. Tet da and da and da. So there you are overseas. You're still overseas, I believe, right?
Yeah, currently in Boston.
You're in Boston, and you've been described as an eagle because you're part of the Boston College Eagles. What does it mean to be a part of that group?
The Boston College community is very family oriented. So when I reached out to the coach and told him that I would like to continue my swimming career, he just welcomed me with open arms, and from there, just being like a family. It's very exciting to be part of this team.
That's great. How did you get there, by the way?
Don't
tell me by plane.
I did. So when COVID shut down, I came to Boston to live with my uncle, and I applied to grad schools and whatnot, and I got into as a regular student, and I just emailed the coach saying hey, I still want to continue swimming, and he just said, sure, you could be a great part of this team, and the rest is history, and now I'm an Eagle.
That's fantastic. So immersing yourself and settling into your new school environment, how has that been for you so far?
It's been going pretty well. It's going fun. I'm training with the team, going to classes. It's pretty much a good environment to be in, and I'm really enjoying it.
How different is the training regime there compared with your training regime here in Barbados?
I would say that back home, I definitely enjoyed training back home a lot, but the training here is a lot more tailored to what I want to do, and every day is something exciting, and I'm very excited to go to practice every day because I never know what I'm going to do, and I know the coaches trust me and I trust them, so whatever set they put before me, they know that I'm going to kill it and we're going to reach new heights.
So what is it that you want to do that this training is so tailored in?
The goal right now going into this summer is to reach top 16.
So what would that take to be in the top 16?
A lot of speed work, a lot of getting my miles in. So definitely we're going hard in the gym and going hard in the pool as well.
I must tell you though, Alex, I look at that body of water and I get scared. I think I'm going to drown. The first it crosses my mind, for real. So, but you look at that and you don't see what I see. What do you see when you stand there on the starting block and you look into the pool? What do you see?
I see an opportunity to break barriers. I see an opportunity to just take my God-given ability and just show the world what I can do.
I'm watching the pendant on your chain, on your neck, and I see it is, yes, that must mean something to you to wear.
Yeah, my girlfriend got it for me like early in February, I think. I really like it. It's fire.
You really like it?
Yeah.
Because it represents who you are. Do people question you?
Yeah, it represents home.
Do people question you as to what it is?
Yeah, they always like, oh, what is that? I'm like, oh, this is home. I'm not home, but home is with you.
So it gives you the chance to talk a little bit about Barbados.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So tell me what you say to people about Barbados.
I'm like, this is where Rihanna's from.
I was waiting for
typically it. Typically what they mostly know about Barbados, but yeah. I'm like, you got to come enjoy the sun and the beach.
Yes, that's where Rihanna's from. We have sand and beach. We have a lot more, you know, Alex. We have a whole lot more that you can tell them about.
I mean, to tell them, like, they don't really understand, really, so I try to stay with the basic stuff.
That's all right. In terms of their being able to understand what you say, because I know some, you know, we don't quite sound like them. So have you had that kind of encounter?
Yeah, when I first moved to Georgia, I had to like slow down how I talk and try to speak more clearly. Like when I first walked into the locker room at my old school in Georgia, like no one could understand me. So I definitely had to learn to slow down how I speak and pronounce all my words properly.
Yes, that's a good lesson for a lot of people. Now, you're focused on getting into the Olympics because you've already met the B qualifying time. And I'm sure when you met that B qualifying time, tell me how you found out and what you felt when you found out.
Yeah, when I swam the first race at the meet in Florida, the 400 freestyle, I was definitely struggling the last like 50 or so. But I saw my coaches and one of my teammates just on the sideline, just pushing me, and their energy on the sideline just got me to the end of the race. And then when I touched and I saw that I met the criteria, I was like, yes, like I was very excited. And then to do that 2 more times in the 200 freestyle and the 100 freestyle was very exciting.
Wow, you can actually see while you're swimming people on the side?
Yeah, just a little bit.
You see, there's my ignorance because I have no time to look. I'm so focused on staying safe, you know, but there it is. You can actually turn your head and see. That's great. So here it is. You qualify now for the B time. And so you have the Olympics in sight. How are you making that marked difference between that performance and the performance that will be required for the Olympics?
Yeah, after that meet, me and my coaches, we sat down and we just mapped out what meets we want to go to next and how we're gonna set up the training for the summer. So I have a training meet in the end of this month. I'm in Florida as well, and we're just gonna see. We're not gonna try to put up any big times. We're not gonna rush anything. We're just gonna see where we are at right now and see what times we're gonna put up. And then if we're happy with where we are, we're just gonna stay low and stay like that. But if we're not, we're just gonna try to go to another meet, maybe in the Bahamas, maybe. I'm still working on that stuff.
What's your diet like, just out of curiosity? Do you eat, you know, those things that we all enjoy?
In America, I try to eat pretty healthy. I try to eat the typical stuff, but when I'm home, I definitely have the rentage of fat. That's a must-have.
That's a no doubt. That's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Chicken tenders, hell yeah.
You're talking good stuff. Don't do that to me at this time in the morning. Don't do that to me. So diet is not a concern of yours because you know how to stay laser focused where your diet is concerned. How does one stay injury free in swimming?
Just always, my coach always told me to always protect my shoulders. Whatever I do, just make sure that the shoulders are okay, because that just leads to problems. So whenever I'm working on the gym or doing dry line, I try not to exert them too much. Just try to always protect my shoulders.
Because a lot of your strength comes from the upper body?
Yeah, definitely.
Is it different for a different distance in races that one would swim, or is it because you do these relatively short distances? Is it different?
Yeah, for the distance swimmers, they typically just do lighter weights, whereas the sprinters, they do a lot of heavy weights.
Okay. Thanks for that clarity where that's concerned indeed. So here it is now. You're aiming for the Olympics. You will be representing Barbados, I presume. And so what pressure does that bring to you to be able to achieve in that kind of way?
I mean, for me, there's no pressure. I like what I'm doing, and I love Barbados. So whatever opportunity I get to represent Barbados at the highest level, I'm always into. So I'm just going to give my best effort, and that's all I can ask for.
All right. So so your message to everyone today, parents listening, is that there is a lot of scope. There's a lot of value in sport, and to the human endeavor for one, but certainly to success in one's chosen career as well. So for somebody who's watching today who is a little skeptical about the child who has a passion for the pool, what do you say?
I mean, let them have fun, and see, let them play around to see, if they really enjoy it, and if they do, just let them, let them go and have fun, and you never know where that talent can take you. Because I was that kid in the small pool, just splashing around, just having fun, and here I am as almost a 2-time Olympian. So never know what life could take you.
Can't wait to hear your next stage of your story, Alex Sobers. Thank you so much for joining us here on Morning Barbados. You are for us, Alex, if you didn't know, one of our exceptional young people on the island. And so this show, Morning Barbados, is very proud to salute you as such. So keep doing what you're doing. You're doing it very well. And we're encouraging you to continue making those records, just shattering the possibilities. And of course, stay in touch with us because we want to continue telling your story. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. There he is, Alex Sobers, an exceptional young person. A break. And when we come back, we meet that young woman who goes into an area that a lot of you would not go into. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So to any of you watching this morning, which of you will consider mortuary services as a chosen profession? Be honest, which of you? I can hear you. I can hear you. Don't scream at me. Yes, I think so too. So we're happy to be joined this morning by one who has chosen mortuary services as a career. Her name is Riaz Canterbury. Ria, good morning to you.
Good morning, Pearson.
Ria, how on heaven's earth did you get involved in mortuary services? What triggered it for you?
Funny enough, I have a friend who is an embalmer, and he asked me if I was interested, and I said, well, no, not really. So he encouraged me to come one evening, and I've never turned back.
Yeah, but we're talking about death. We're not talking about life in that sense. So when you first walked in and you saw laying before you flesh, and I dare to say dead flesh, what went through you? What went through you?
Nothing. Actually, I was at peace.
Really?
I was very comfortable with it, yes. So I continued doing that, and I enjoy doing what I do.
You are something else, for real. Honestly, there are people who can't even, who get scared at the steps of any funeral home, to have gone so far in to do mortuary services. So you look at this person in front of you and you figure, I can make a difference here. I can bring dignity back to the transition process. And so you decided then to follow that passion, to go study and become accredited in it. Where did you go?
Yes. I went to Gupton Jones College of Funeral Services, and that is in Atlanta, Georgia.
So how long did you stay there to become qualified in this?
The program was actually 1 year, fast-paced. So I went in 2018. I graduated in 2019, and now I'm here.
So what does one do and while studying that? What do you do?
Well, it was a lot of hours studying. There's a lot of practical experience that goes along with it because book work can only help you so far. So it's best to get a hands-on experience so that you are able then to manage cases that come before you.
That hands-on means real or dummy, or as we say, dummies that you play with?
It was real experience. Yes.
You have me cringing, for real. So When you said to your parents and those around you that this is what you want to get into, what did they say?
The reaction you're giving right now, are you sure? You sure you want to do this? But it was something that I was passionate about, and like everything else, it is a calling. Not everybody is made to do what I do.
You're quite right on that score. Not everybody
Yes.
is made to do what you do. So we see the finished product in terms of the peaceful laying of our relative in a casket, and then we don't stop to consume what happened before that to get to that stage. What are some of the stages following death that one has to go through to final presentation at the day of burial?
Well, following death, then, there's a lot of paperwork involved, and you have to communicate with the families, because it's not about you anymore. You remove self, it is about the family, and you will be able to guide them through the process, because, in some cases it will be difficult for some persons. Some handle it better than some. That's a part of the grieving process. So once you listen to the family and you know what they want, then you will be able to give them a final, I don't want to say product, but a final presentation of their loved one, because lasting memories are important, and that final look is what you take through life.
You were very fortunate to have gone to school at the University on the Hill of Coleridge and Parry, as I have.
Yes, the
as
best
well.
school in the island.
Listen, we just tell them again, the best school on the island. So at any time as you walked to those hallowed halls, did you see yourself becoming, a mortician?
No, I really didn't, because I went into the field of social work. So that, again, is another helping profession. So I have linked that along with my mortuary degree, and I am able to get through what I do.
Whilst it's helping, it's so vastly different. You're helping the living. In this, I mean, in some sense, you are also helping the living at the transition. But this one is so vastly, that's a whole different change. So
yeah.
And you're still young. You're still very young at this.
Yeah.
Is there any? Do you see yourself staying in this field till Thy kingdom come?
I do, because I enjoy. It is something that you have to enjoy. If it's something you enjoy, like the quote says, enjoy what you do, and you'll never work a day in your life.
So true on that.
So it's something that I love doing, and as long as I have good strength and health, then it's something that I will continue to do.
Do your friends get scared of you?
Not anymore. I think they are accustomed to me now, because at first some of them are still a little standoffish, but that passes, because it's my passion, and I guess they give in to me, listening to me go on and on and on about what I do. And then some are genuinely interested, so they ask and I give the information.
So what's a typical day like for you as a mortician? You turn up at the home, and it can take you sometimes, and how many hours there?
A lot of hours. We don't have stipulated hours. So some days you go in, you have a short day, and other days then you're there into the night. But again, it's for the family, so you do what you know you need to do in order to get them, their loved one, in a state that they can enjoy or look forward to seeing at the end of the day. And that is where the reward comes from.
Do you know
seeing the families happy.
Yes, so true. Especially when your loved one looks as though they're just sleeping, they're just lying there sleeping. That's so important. And I know that the young man of whom you spoke, who introduced this to you, is Ian Griffith of Ian Griffith's Mortuary Services. My friend, we went to school together, and he has also played a hand in my father's exit as well, and how Daddy just looked as though he was just there lying down sleeping. It was like,
peaceful.
No. So much so that my nieces and nephews thought they could play with him. It was that comforting that they were not scared at all. They didn't see a dead person. They saw a Daddy just lying there.
Just peaceful,
Correct, and that's so very important. Do you know of other young women in Barbados in particular who are doing what you do?
At the present moment, no.
So what advice would you give to young women who will shy away from doing what you do, who may very well be very good at what you do?
I would say to them, if it's something that you're passionate about, just go after it. Because what you hear out there and what you see and do while with the person, then it's something completely different.
What you see and then what you do. Explain that for me.
you would hear stories from persons outside who don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go then into the mortuary, experience what you experience, then it's something totally different. You don't have the visuals that they were implanting in you. So you have a clearer vision of what goes on, and you are able then to reproduce that and give the family what they love.
I can hear someone asking, do you have nightmares?
No, I don't.
Rhea, you are good.
I do not.
So very
I do
good.
not.
Are there opportunities presented to you to be able to go back to the school, for instance, to lend and share from your experience, and hopefully out of that we can create an opportunity for some young ones while at school as well?
Yeah, I still have a connection with Dr. Jones, but due to the COVID, then, there are certain restrictions now, but I still communicate with them here and there.
Very good. So, Rhea, I'm telling you, you surprised us. So you went from College in Paris through to the Barbados Community College, through then to the University of the West Indies, then on to the university overseas. And all along the way, mortuary services was not it in the Barbados context. Mortuary services.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't in there.
And so I'm trying to imagine, here it is, you've invested time and money into your local education, and then suddenly you switched. And there are a lot of people who find it a little difficult to understand from time to time that, the human condition says, you will do what you like at some point in time. At some point you wake up and it turns on. So I'll use me as an example. Started in banking. And then, broadcasting was there nibbling and nibbling and nibbling. And then one day, what? Broadcasting it is. And for a lot of people, it was shocking. Like, what? But you were so good at. I think I'm also quite good at this. So what advice would you want to give to parents today who have those parents who have children who seem to go one road and then suddenly veer off into something else? What would you say?
I would say that children know what they want to get into, and try not to discourage your child from doing what they want, because sometimes parents would push you in the direction that they were not able to go in, and then live through you. So I would say just let your child be your child. They know, give them guidance. Just don't have a whole hands-off experience, but just give them guidance and let them do, so that they can be great in whatever they pursue.
Excellent. Riaz Canterbury, it has been my entire pleasure, really, to meet you this morning. For us, you are one of our exceptional young people doing great work in an area that a lot of people run hard from. I'm telling you, mortuary services. Well done. And I thank you so much for joining us. You're welcome. Have a good day.
Bye-bye. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.
Bye-bye.
There she goes, an old scholar of the College in Paris School. So you see, why make that one of your choices, College in Paris? Hint, hint. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we meet a young footballer who's doing great things overseas.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We're 9 minutes now to go to the hour of 8 o'clock. Let me introduce you to a young man who came through the Barbados Soccer Academy and is a great footballer. His name is Carl Hinkson. Carl, good morning to you.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me on.
What's that big thing in front of you? That's your microphone?
Yes.
Carl, you took me by surprise when I saw the mic right there. Is this something what's the setup? Who caused the setup? You?
So I'm actually a little bit of a digital entrepreneur, to be honest. So I use this mic because I have a lot of online calls. I tend to create a lot of content for social media platforms and that type of stuff too. So the mic was an investment that I got to really help take my my small business to the next level. Yeah.
Well done, Carl. Well done. So you're more than just football, which is great.
Yeah, football is my first love. I'd say entrepreneurship is my second, and tying the two of them together has allowed me to get my first, it was a side hustle, I guess you could call it, my first entrepreneurial venture off the ground.
We'll get back to that. Let's talk about the Barbados Soccer Academy and what that has meant to you and the opportunities that you gained having gone through the Barbados Soccer Academy.
Yeah, so the academy has been amazing. I joined the academy when I was about 11 years old. As soon as I got to secondary school, I've only actually ever played for the academy in my time in Barbados. Jack Pavel, the owner of the academy, he's amazing with not only providing opportunities for players to be seen overseas, but also helping you with every single step along the process. So he helps you with the SAT classes. He helps you to make sure that you stay on top of your CXCs if that's what you need help with. And just being an all-around mentor and guider. Jack has been someone who's really been pivotal to my success, allowing me the opportunity to travel with the Soccer Academy. I believe it was in 2014. And at that tournament in Florida was where I had the opportunity to be seen by what would eventually be my college coach. And then the recruiting process started from there. Yeah, so the academy is still doing great things up to today, and it's just a really, really good establishment for anyone who is thinking about trying to pursue soccer at a higher level.
Was that your aim from the beginning, though, to pursue soccer at the higher level, or was it just to have a formal structure in which to play soccer?
Yeah, so I actually always wanted to play professionally. From a very young age, I realized, because I was a member of the Barbados youth national teams as well, I had a sense from very early that I would need to have some kind of a transition platform. I didn't think that just playing in Barbados would give me enough of an opportunity to go straight into the professional field. So said, so done. So my eyes kind of switched to the college realm, where I knew that I could get good competition and I could be in a much more professional environment to help develop my game. So right around the age of about 12, 13, maybe a year or so after I joined the academy, and I was able to see that we were producing scholarship winners, that was one thing that became my main priority. And from that time on, it was just that constant hustle, that constant grind with the goal in mind of trying to play at the NCAA Division I level. So yeah, I would say that since I was about 12, 13 years old, I've always wanted football to be a pivotal part of my life, so to speak.
And you know, you're past students of Harrison College, and I don't know, how did your parents respond to that? You know, my HC son wants to do what? Play football? How did they respond to that?
Yeah. So it's not really something that's taken in very high regard in Barbados. So for me, it was always a discussion with my parents that as long as I kept up my academic strength, as long as my academics were good, I would be allowed to also play football. They were honestly supportive in my journey once they saw it bringing some kind of fruit, once they saw me actually getting the opportunity to travel with the Barbados youth national teams and stuff. I think that kind of changed their perspective a little bit. But initially, yeah, it was hard to convince them that instead of probably doing like extra lessons on afternoon, I wanted to spend all of my time playing football. I'm really glad that they kind of stuck with me though, because it's really, really helped me to, I think, transform my life and take me to places that I don't think I would have ever been without football.
So you've been through Southern Illinois University, you've done that.
Yep.
And where are you now, in Barbados, or are you overseas still?
Yeah, so I was based overseas just before COVID. Unfortunately, I didn't get the opportunity to sign with a professional team. I did get the opportunity to go on a few trials, but with how everything happened with COVID, it was actually like super unfortunate for me that I didn't get the opportunity to sign. So I basically spent the last year in Barbados mostly training with the senior men's national team. Really, really grateful for that opportunity as well, to just have a consistent team that I could continue to improve on. And right now my focus is set on helping the team to qualify for the World Cup qualification and Gold Cup qualifiers that we have coming up. That's my main focus, and hopefully we can do really well in those qualification processes and I can get seen to play somewhere overseas in the near future.
Well, that's our hope for you as well. So now back quickly to the digital business that you're in. Tell us about that business that you're in.
Yeah, so it's been a real journey. I spent basically last year of my life as well, as I've been in Barbados, not only balancing football, but just pursuing this entrepreneurial pursuit. To this point, If I had to give myself a title, I would say that I am a social media coach. I mostly help people to build their brands and get more exposure on Instagram. Along with that, I've also built out a social media page. It's called Footy Tutor, which is basically a cross between like development tips for young footballers. And we have a small community now where we just provide a lot of value to these players, and we have a small private group as well. So yeah, I've had the opportunity to have a year of my life where I can really pursue my entrepreneur pursuits. And I think very similarly to football, the reason why I like entrepreneurship is because it's a continuous journey of not just trying to create something that people like, but also challenging yourself to just be better every single day.
So when the battle starts between entrepreneurship football, which one do you think will win?
Well, I'm conscious in trying to build my business in a way, to be honest, that would allow me to hire a team and just honestly have more of a, I guess, delegatory role in my business. So if things were to really like pick up and both of them were to catch stride, I'd like to think that I could put systems and processes in place to keep my business running whilst I try my best to be the best player in the field.
In other words, you ain't giving up football. Football is something you are determined to do.
Yeah, like I love, as I said, I love challenging myself. I love just trying to be the best version of myself. Football allows me to be in an environment where I'm also surrounded by other players who are trying to do that. I think that I have been given a gift, and I think that as I'm young, I just want to honor the privilege that I have to be my best self. So I think as long as I can run, as long as I'm fit and I'm healthy, those are things I'm super, super grateful for,
Yes.
and I'll just try to make the most of my opportunities.
You just said something I'm so proud of you for having said, that you will be your best self. And because of that today, Carl Hinkson, we recognize you as one of Barbados' exceptional young people. Thank you for joining us. I wish you every success in your future endeavors, Carl. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're very welcome. Inspiring exceptional young people this morning, and we really want to thank you too for joining us right today here on Morning Barbados. We wish you the very best, and we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. For the crew, to all of you, good morning.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.